Welcome everyone to Coin New Yen Review channel. Before we dive into today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so more people can discover us. Enjoy the show. I had just finalized the divorce proceedings with my wife at the Civil Affairs Bureau. He turned around and pressured me to register a marriage with his best friend. After stamping the documents, he warned me not to let this charade turn real. We agreed to remarry 2 months later. I learned his best friend needed to inherit a billion-dollar fortune. She had to find a man to be her nominal husband for 2 months. When my wife found out, she rented me out to her best friend for $1,000,000, and we agreed to restore everything afterward. But I never expected to discover that her best friend had secretly been in love with me all along. Though it was supposed to be a fake marriage, she kept dreaming of making it real every day. It all began that day. I stood in silence and said, "Let's get divorced." As I gazed at Li Yuyan standing before me, her eyes felt utterly unfamiliar. So it was all for that $1,000,000, wasn't it? We had been together since university and got married shortly after graduation. Now it was the 3rd year of our marriage. Li Yuyan had a best friend named Su Yuming. Recently her grandfather passed away, leaving her a vast inheritance. But to claim that inheritance, she had to fulfill her grandfather's will, which stipulated she must marry within a year, or the fortune would be donated entirely to charity. Since Su Yuming was a staunch advocate of staying single, she had hardly any male friends over the years. Finding a suitable man to marry was nearly impossible. Marrying just anyone made her uneasy. So desperate to wed Su Yuming, at a gathering with friends today, poured out her troubles to everyone. After listening, Li Yuyan immediately offered to lend her husband Me for the marriage, but demanded $1,000,000 as compensation. To my surprise, Su Yuming agreed, leading to the scene that unfolded earlier. Yes, it's $1,000,000. Look, in these 3 years of our marriage, we've been living a frugal life every day. Now with this chance to make big money, do you really want to let it slip away? Li Yuyan pouted, her face full of grievance as she complained I hadn't responded. Instead, I asked the question that had lingered in my heart for 3 years. So in these 3 years of our marriage, have you felt wronged being with me? I thought back to university when I pursued Li Yuyan. Back then, a single bouquet of roses from me could make her happy for days on end. But as time passed, Li Yuyan gradually transformed into someone else. When I gave her a gift I'd prepared with my own hands, she'd scoff at its cheapness. When I rode my electric bike to pick her up, she'd envy the girls riding in luxury cars. Even when I gave her all my living expenses, she'd still complain it wasn't enough. After marriage, I treated her like a princess, never letting her do any housework, handing over my entire monthly salary of over 10,000 yuan. Yet Li Yuyan took the money I worked so hard to earn and lived a life of extravagance like a socialite. Only today did I realize it wasn't that I hadn't done enough, but that the Li Yuyan of now was no longer the innocent girl from before. Li Yuyan pursed her lips and said matter-of-factly, "Of course, I've been wrong. In these 3 years of marriage, think about the miserable life I've led. My friends all live in luxurious mansions, traveling abroad whenever they please. But me, I'm stuck with you in this tiny 100 square meter apart, hesitating over every little purchase. Now with $1,000,000 just waiting for us, all we need to do is divorce. And you're unwilling." I fell silent. "You're deliberately trying to keep me from a better life, aren't you?" Looking at the self-righteous Li Yuyan, I paused in silence. Softly, I asked Li Yuyan, "Have you forgotten the vows we made before we married?" "What vows?" A flicker of confusion crossed Li Yuyan's face. A bitter self-mocking smile curled my lips. "Before we married, we swore to the heavens together that would never divorce in this lifetime, that would stay together forever, never abandoning each other. But now, a mere $1,000,000 can so easily betray those vows. I find it laughable and deeply tragic." Li Yuyan frowned, lost in thought for a long while. Finally recalling those vows, she let out a dismissive chuckle. "It's just a vow. That was years ago. Why are you still hung up on it? Besides, this isn't a real divorce. It's a fake divorce. We're doing this for the money. What's the big deal? For the money. My heart grew colder. To me, marriage was sacred, not something to be casually dissolved or carelessly reinstated. But now it seemed I was wrong. Liu Yin said earnestly, with this million yuan, I can travel the world. You know, I've always dreamed of traveling the world. It's been my lifelong wish. Now that we have this opportunity, don't you want to help me? Don't you love me anymore? The expression on my face grew colder. Help you by marrying another woman. At that moment, I had lost all hope in my wife. Liu Yin frowned impatiently. I told you it's just a fake marriage. Why are you making such a fuss? 2 months from now we'll remarry and that's that. Seeing Liu Yin's patience wearing thin, I had no desire to say more. Letting out a soft sigh, I stood up and said, since you're so set on divorce, I'll grant your wish. With that, I walked back to my room. The next day at the Civil Affairs Bureau, after Liu Yin and I parked the car, I saw Su Yuming eagerly awaiting us. When Su Yuming saw us step out, she hurried down the steps to greet us. Her exquisite beautiful face lit up with a radiant, captivating smile. Especially the moment she saw me, her eyes sparkled brightly, though she quickly averted her gaze, her expression returning to normal. Yumeng, Liu Yin said, today we'll divorce. After you register with my husband, transfer 30,000 yuan as a deposit to me first, and the remaining 70,000 in 2 months. No problem, right? Liu Yin asked with a beaming smile, her eyes still fixated on the money. No problem at all. Su Yumeng replied clearly. Then I'll go get divorced first, Liu Yin said, pulling me along. Rushing into the Civil Affairs Bureau, Su Yumeng watched our retreating figures, a faint smile playing on her lips. I'm finally going to be with you. At the marriage registration office, the staff glanced at us. Out of professional duty, she advised, want you to reconsider. Once I stamp this, you'll no longer be husband and wife. I opened my mouth, about to say something, when Liu Yin beside me impatiently urged, come on, just process it already. We've thought it through. I looked at her eager, impatient face, and ultimately just shook my head, saying nothing more. The staff glanced at me, hesitant to speak, seeming to sense that I didn't truly want this divorce. A hint of sympathy flickered in her eyes. As the stamp came down, my marriage with Liu Yin was officially dissolved. Soon we walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Su Yumeng immediately approached, her expression slightly anxious as she asked, so is it done? Are you divorced? It's done, Liu Yin replied. Now go register with my husband quickly. Liu Yin flashed a satisfied smile, then eagerly pushed us both back into the Civil Affairs Bureau. Inside the marriage registration office, the staff looked at me seated at the counter, preparing to register a new marriage. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Young man, you're here to get married. Just moments ago, in the time it took her to use the restroom, she saw me return with another beautiful woman to marry. It hadn't even been 3 minutes. This was seamless, wasn't it? I only nodded lightly, my expression calm, without a trace of emotion. In contrast, Su Yumeng was visibly excited, her face brimming with uncontainable joy. She pulled out wedding candies she'd prepared, walked over, and enthusiastically handed some to the staff, then shared more with the others. Young people these days are so efficient, the staff remarked with a chuckle, pocketing the candies. Soon we took our wedding photos, and after registering, received our marriage certificate. I'll hold onto the marriage certificate for now, Su Yumeng said. I'll keep it safe in my bag. Su Yumeng seemed worried I might lose it. At that moment, my heart felt like ashes. I didn't care either way, so I handed my certificate to her. Su Yumeng held both certificates, looked at them together, her face glowing with immense satisfaction. Then, she carefully tucked them back into her bag. We walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau side by side. So did you and my husband get the certificate? Liu Yin asked eagerly. We got it, Su Yumeng replied with a smile. Don't worry about the 30,000. I'll transfer it to you soon. I won't go back on my word. 2 months from now, I'll transfer the remaining 70,000 to you. Su Yumeng added, remembering something. Now that Silence and I are married, we'll meet to live together for a while. to fool those people, so I can claim the inheritance. You don't mind, right? No problem, I already expected that. Liu Yin waved her hand dismissively, then with a serious face said, but you better not do anything to betray me. Su Yuming immediately assured her, don't worry, you can trust me. It's just a fake marriage. Your husband's type. Even if you offered him to me, I wouldn't want him. Seeing Su Yuming's disdainful expression, Liu Yin was completely reassured. Alright then, I need to talk to my husband alone for a bit. Wait here. Liu Yin pulled me to a quiet corner, sternly warning, I'm telling you, you better not do anything to betray me. Got it? I just looked at her calmly, as if staring at a stranger, and said flatly, Liu Yin, we're already divorced. What I do is none of your business anymore. Liu Yin's eyes widened. We agreed it's just a fake divorce. Don't you get it? I sneered Liu Yin. To me, a divorce is a divorce. There's no such thing as fake or real. We're done from now on. With that, I turned and walked away. Liu Yin stared at my back, opened her mouth to say something, but in the end just sighed fine. He's just angry right now. I'll get over it in a few days. For the sake of the 30,000 coming my way, I won't argue with you. The thought of the 30,000 about to hit her account made Liu Yin's heart race with excitement. If I weren't pregnant, I'd really divorce you for good. Watching my retreating figure, Liu Yin touched her flat stomach, muttering with uncertainty, this thing you'll only find out later. Liu Yin had a condition that made pregnancy difficult, so over the years, while living extravagantly, she rarely took precautions during her indulgences. But last week, she found out she was pregnant, and she herself wasn't sure who the father was. At first, she considered terminating the pregnancy, but thinking of her condition, missing this chance might mean never becoming a mother. So she kept the baby, and with this child, she was more confident I'd remarry her. After all, if she didn't say anything, I'd assume the child was mine. Soon Liu Yin's phone received a notification of a 30,000 yuan transfer. Having never had so much money, Liu Yin thrilled drove off, eager to splurge. At the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance, only Su Yuming and I remained. Let's go home, Su Yuming said with a gentle smile, leading me to the side of the road, where a white Lamborghini was parked. I wasn't surprised, because Su Yuming was already a wealthy beauty. Her grandfather was an insurance tycoon, with assets worth billions. Once she inherited his fortune, she'd become a billionaire heiress. But that had nothing to do with me, because I knew my marriage with Su Yuming was just a sham. 2 months from now, once Su Yuming claimed her inheritance, we'd return to being ordinary friends. Husband, you drive. Suddenly, Su Yuming extended a slender, fair hand, handing me a set of car keys, and calling out with a bright smile, what did you call me? I turned, staring at Su Yuming with hunger in my eyes. I wondered if I'd misheard her words. Husband, is there a problem? Su Yuming's smile bloomed like a flower. Her bright, captivating eyes gazed straight into mine. Her expression carried a trace of something I couldn't quite place. Those eyes on me sent an inexplicable flutter through my chest. I quickly looked away, my voice tinged with doubt as I asked, isn't this supposed to be a fake marriage? Su Yuming lifted her smooth chin, her expression holding a hint of smugness. Even if it's a fake marriage, right now, you're my lawful husband in the eyes of the law. Calling you husband is only natural. Fine as long as you're happy. I found myself at a loss for words. After all, our marital status was indeed protected by law. Oh, by the way, husband, from now on you need to call me wife. Got it? What? I was still grappling with her calling me husband, and now she wanted me to call her wife. I couldn't adjust to it so quickly. Besides, this girl was my ex-wife's best friend. Calling her wife felt strangely awkward. Su Yuming stepped closer patiently, explaining, think about it. Even though it's a fake marriage, to fool everyone, we need to act like a real couple. So asking you to call me wife is reasonable, right? I thought it over and found her logic sound. So I nodded reasonable. Then call me wife, let me hear it. Su Yuming's pretty face beamed as she looked at me, her big eyes brimming with anticipation. Staring at her radiant, beautiful face, I steeled myself and softly said wife. The moment I uttered wife, Suyuming's eyes lit up instantly. A faint curve appeared at the corners of her mouth. A trace of a blissful smile spilled uncontrollably across her stunning face. Not bad, not bad. If you could say it with a bit more feeling, it'd be perfect. Suyuming tried to suppress her smile, yet her expression couldn't hide her joy. All right, husband, you drive. We're going home. She stuffed the car keys into my hand, then skipped lightly to the passenger side. I took a deep breath, calming my emotions before opening the door and getting in. With one press of the accelerator, the car sped off into the distance. The white Lamborghini cruised through the bustling, crowded streets, drawing countless gazes along the way. Since it was my first time driving such a fine sports car, I didn't notice that Suyuming at that moment was staring fixedly at my profile, as if she could never get enough. Her eyes filled with deep satisfaction, her delicate lips always holding a gentle, subtle smile. She harbored a secret in her heart. Since she was 10, she had been in love with me. For my sake, she attended the same schools as me through middle school, high school, and university. Her original plan was to confess to me once we reached university, but fate had other plans. Right after starting university, I got together with Liuyan, so she buried her secret deeper, continuing to hide it in her heart, silently watching my life from afar. To have chances to see me often, she went out of her way to befriend Liuyan, even becoming her best friend. Because she loved me so deeply, she remained single all these years, to fend off her grandfather's endless pressure to marry and the questions from friends. She even declared publicly that she was against marriage. Her original plan was to spend her life secretly loving me from the shadows. But in my marriage, she saw no happiness in me. She only saw the boy she cherished being hurt recklessly by Liuyan, bullied without care. I treated Liuyan like a princess, giving her the best of everything. Yet Liuyan was never satisfied, always demanding more. She watched me these 3 years, living a life worse than a dog's. Her heart ached beyond words, but she could do nothing until her grandfather passed away, leaving her a vast inheritance. Her grandfather, knowing her stance against marriage, feared she'd be alone after his death, so he left a will, stating Suyuming could only inherit if she married. When Suyuming learned of the will, her first thought was that besides me, she didn't want to marry anyone. Otherwise, she'd rather forego the inheritance. This dilemma troubled her deeply. At a friend's gathering, she poured out her worries to everyone. Who could have guessed that Liuyan would later approach her, proposing to lend her husband me for the marriage? When she first heard this shocking proposal, Suyuming's instinct was to refuse. But even after her rejection, Liuyan wouldn't give up, persuading her it was just a fake marriage, that she could divorce after securing the inheritance. Under Liuyan's persistent coaxing, Suyuming's heart began to waver. Even if it was just a fake marriage with me, it was enough to thrill her beyond measure. So after Liuyan's repeated urging, she couldn't resist the temptation, and finally agreed. The moment she made that decision, she swore to herself that in these 2 months, she would treat me 1,000 times better. Is there something on my face? Finally, I noticed Suyuming's blatant gaze, and couldn't help but touch my cheek. Nothing. Suyuming averted her eyes, a faint blush rising on her smiling face. The car fell silent again. Suyuming thought for a moment, then pulled out both marriage certificates from her bag, opened them and placed them side by side, her lips curling into an irrepressible smile. I glanced at her briefly, unable to resist asking, "Pretty happy, huh?" Suyuming looked up at me, her eyes twinkling with delight. She nodded emphatically yes. Enthralled, I said with a sigh, "I'd be happy too if it were me. Inheriting such a fortune, you wouldn't need to work for the rest of your life." Suyuming froze for a moment, then laughed softly. Right. Who wouldn't be happy inheriting that? I'm over the moon. She nodded with a smile, not denying it. 10 minutes later, the Lamborghini pulled into a grand estate, stopping in front of a massive villa. At the villa's entrance stood several young men in suits, each standing tall and stern. As we got out, they hurried over, respectfully greeting us. "Miss Good Day, Sir Good Day." The display gave me a fleeting sense like I was starring in some domineering CEO drama. So Yuming quietly moved to my side, taking my hand. I froze, my eyes wide with surprise as I looked at her. So Yuming turned to me, her face lit with a smile. She whispered, with so many people around, to keep them from suspecting it's a fake marriage, holding hands is reasonable, right? Hearing this, I subtly scanned our surroundings, noticing the bodyguards and workers, all stealing glances at me. Her words made sense, so I let her hold my hand. Come on, Si Yuming's voice brimmed with excitement. She led me toward the villa with light steps. The entire villa was spacious and bright, its decor extravagantly luxurious. As Su Yuming and I sat down, a maid immediately approached, serving us to glasses of warm water. Feeling parched, I downed a glass in one go. Hey, can you let go of my hand now? I set the glass down, turning to the girl beside me. Even now, Su Yuming still hadn't released my hand. Oh, I forgot. Su Yuming smiled, sheepishly letting go, and apologized. Then remembering something, she said, by the way, the villa has a garden in front, a pool in the back, and even a golf course. There's a gym to the east of the estate, and a fish pond to the west. If you're bored, feel free to explore the estate. Since you just moved in, if already had daily necessities prepared for you, I'll show you in a bit. If you need anything else, just let me know. I'll have someone get it. I shook, not particularly concerned. Doesn't matter. As long as you've prepared it, it's fine. I don't have many demands. It's enough if it's usable. In these 3 years of marriage, I'd grown used to living frugally every day. My expectations for life were minimal. Su Yuming was a thoughtful, considerate girl, always thorough in her planning. Since she'd prepared my necessities, they'd surely be sufficient for my needs. Alright then, Su Yuming nodded. I also set up a gaming room for you in the villa. You can play games if you're bored. Come, I'll show you. With that, she eagerly pulled me along, bounding upstairs. On the second floor, I was greeted by a sprawling gaming room over 100 square meters, filled with computers, consoles, exercise equipment, and even a pool table. This computer was just assembled. It's Topothalin. All the popular games are already downloaded and purchased. You can just play. I remember back in university, you used to love gaming. Su Yuming stood by the desk smiling brightly. I looked at the girl before me, a strange warmth stirring in my heart. Back in university, I did love gaming, that was true. But after marrying and working to support the family, I'd long abandoned that hobby. Thank you, Su Yuming. She was focused on showing me the room's features. When she suddenly heard my gentle voice, she froze, turning to see me, my gaze soft as I looked at her. Nothing. Su Yuming's breath quickened, her heart racing in her chest. She shyly lowered her head, hiding her flushed cheeks from my view. I walked to the desk, my hand brushing over the mouse and keyboard, softly remarking, "It's been a long time since I played games. I might not even know how anymore." No worries. From now on, you can do whatever you want here. No one will control you. Su Yuming stepped forward, her eyes meeting mine with unprecedented tenderness. Seeing the affection in her gaze, my throat tightened. We're just in a fake marriage. 2 months from now, we'll part ways. You don't need to go to such lengths for me. I'm fine as long as I have a place to sleep and want star. Su Yuming's heart ached again, but she forced herself to stay composed, smiling lightly. It's only right that I treat you well. After all, marrying me is doing me a huge favor. Without you, I wouldn't get the inheritance. So you should accept my kindness without guilt. Got it. At 7 in the evening, in the spacious, brightly lit villa, I sat on the sofa, chatting with Su Yuming, when an old man with white hair entered with 4 or 5 bodyguards. "Uncle Lee, you're back," Su Yuming greeted with a smile. "This must be the young master." Uncle Lee looked at me beside Su Yuming, his wrinkled face breaking into a kind smile. "Yes, husband, look. This is Uncle Lee." Su Yuming eagerly introduced me. I looked over, seeing an elderly man with white hair, yet still robust, wearing glasses, his face kind and gentle. "Hello, Uncle Lee," I greeted politely. I'd heard from Su Yuming about him before, Uncle Lee was the Su family's butler, close as brothers with Su Yuming's grandfather. Not siblings but closer than kin. For Su Yuming to inherit the fortune, our marriage needed Uncle Li's approval. From Su Yuming's demeanor, it was clear she deeply respected him. Though Uncle Lee was a butler, Su Yuming treated him not as staff, but as true family. After the dinner banquet, I watched a movie with Su Yuming in the living room until 10 at night when the film ended. Su Yuming took my hand. Come on, husband, it's time for bed. She led me upstairs into her room. I looked at the spacious, tidy room, hesitating for a moment, uncertainly asking, are we sleeping in the same room? Of course we're married now. To avoid Uncle Lee and the others spotting any flaws, sharing a room is reasonable, right? Su Yuming nodded, her reasoning sounding perfectly natural. I thought it over and nodded reasonable. But are we sleeping in the same bed? We're only in a fake marriage. Sharing a bed feels a bit too intimate. Alright, don't worry. I'll sleep on the floor later. You take the bed, Su Yuming said, understanding clearly that our marriage was rushed. Nothing more than a transaction. I quickly waved my hand. No way, that won't do. I'll take the floor instead. How could I let a girl like you sleep on the floor? No matter what, I'm a man. Rough and tough. Sleeping on the floor doesn't bother me. Feeling my thoughtfulness, Su Yuming's eyes sparkled briefly. Then she nodded gently, without refusing. Her heart secretly warmed with delight. All right, I'll go take a shower first. Su Yuming finally let go of my hand and stepped into the bathroom. Half an hour later, Su Yuming emerged wrapped in a bath towel. Her freshly bathed skin was smooth and radiant, soft and dewy, as if a gentle pinch could draw water from it. Su Yuming patted her flushed cheeks. I'm done. Do you want to shower? Sure, I replied, avoiding her gaze. I brushed past her and headed straight to the bathroom. Wait a second. I prepared pajamas and a new towel for you. Let me get them. Su Yuming called out to me, then pulled neatly folded men's pajamas and a towel from the wardrobe, handing them to me. Thank you. Looking at Su Yuming radiant as a lotus fresh from water and breathing in the rich fragrance in the air, I felt a fleeting moment of distraction. But having been married before, I quickly steadied myself, nodding once before turning to the bathroom. When I emerged from the bathroom, Su Yuming had already changed into rose-colored silk pajamas and had set up a floor bed by her feet. Come try it out. If it feels too hard, I'll add another blanket. I had planned to set it up myself, but Su Yuming hadn't given me the chance. I walked over, sat on the floor bed, and tested its softness. How is it? Does it feel too hard? Not hard. I wasn't picky about where I slept. Su Yuming, worried I'd catch a cold, had laid out two blankets for me. It was softer than I could have imagined. I lay down ready to rest, when suddenly my phone rang. I picked it up. Seeing wife on the caller ID, I hung up without hesitation. But no sooner had I hung up than Li Yuyan called again. I frowned and hung up once more. This time I blocked her number and deleted her contact. Someone irrelevant no longer needed to stay in my life. Who was that? Su Yuming's curious eyes glanced over. The next moment her phone rang with an incoming call. Seeing it was Li Yuyan, she felt an inexplicable pang of guilt. Taking a deep breath, she answered the call. Yuming asked silence for me. Why isn't he answering my calls? He even blocked me. I'm furious. Li Yuyan's voice seethed with anger. As haughty as ever, Su Yuming glanced at me, noticing my expressionless face. As if I hadn't heard the voice on the phone, she replied nonchalantly, I don't know. Give him the phone. I need to have a word with him. Li Yuyan's voice came through, brimming with rage. Fine, Su Yuming sighed helplessly, handing the phone to me. I frowned and shot back, why should I take your call? We're divorced. Get that through your head, all right? Stop bothering me. Li Yuyan was livid, taking several deep breaths. She forced herself to calm down and said, how many times have I told you? It's just a fake divorce. Can't you understand plain words? Sorry if said it before. To me, a divorce is a divorce. We're done for good. Before Li Yuyan could say more, I hung up the phone. Silence. What did you and Li Yuyan talk about? Su Yuming cautiously studied my expression, looking like she wanted to ask, but wasn't sure she should. Nothing, just divorced. It's normal. I shook my head lightly. So Yuming could tell. There was some conflict between Li Yuyan and me, and it seemed she was the cause. Before she could think further, her phone rang again. Hello, Li Yuyan? So Yuming answered with a hint of resignation. Yuming, what are you and my husband doing? On the other end, Li Yuyan had calmed her anger, finally remembering Shed called to check on us. We're about to go to sleep. So Yuming answered truthfully. Sleep? Li Yuyan's voice shot up several octaves, shrill and piercing. The anger Shed just suppressed flared up again. So Yuming hurriedly explained, no, Li Yuyan, you've misunderstood. We're not sleeping together. I'm on the bed, Hayes on the floor. Oh, that scared me. Li Yuyan let out a long sigh of relief, but still uneasy she added, Yuming, let's video call. I want to see for myself, is that okay? Sure, so Yuming couldn't refuse, and nodded in agreement. Soon they started a video call. On the other end, Li Yuyan didn't seem to be at home, but in a cramped bathroom stall. Behind her there was nothing but a toilet. Li Yuyan, where are you? So Yuming asked curiously. Li Yuyan's expression stiffened as she replied, I'm out shopping with friends. I'm in the mall bathroom right now. So Yuming nodded, not thinking much of it. Oh right. Yuming, show me your room. And my husband. Li Yuyan made her request. So Yuming held up her phone, panning the camera across the entire room. Likewise, capturing me lying on the floor bed. Seeing we weren't sleeping together, Li Yuyan was completely reassured. But seeing the spacious, luxurious room, she couldn't help feeling a twinge of envy. Yuming, your room is huge. Too bad my husband's useless. Only able to keep me in a cramped rental, small and crowded. If only he could give me a big house like this. Hearing this, Yuming frowned, her expression tinged with displeasure. She glanced at me on the floor, then said earnestly, Li Yuyan, you know what? Silence. Hayes tried so hard to give you a good life. Hayes worked himself to the bone. You should appreciate how tough it's been for him. Come on, him trying hard. A man who can't earn $50,000 a month. Isn't that just useless? Li Yuyan scoffed, as usual, casually belittling her husband. Then thinking of her own situation, she sighed again. I'm the one willing to live a hard life with him, and now he dares hang up on me, not cherishing me at all. Yuming, you need to set him straight for me. So Yuming rolled her eyes. This time she couldn't hold back. Speaking bluntly, Li Yuyan, you know what? The hard life you complain about might be the life other women envy. Silence is a good man. You should cherish him. Keep this up and you'll only push him further away. Li Yuyan frowned, annoyed. Yuming, whose side are you on? Are you my friend or not? So Yuming froze at a loss for words. But then I suddenly sat up, grabbed her phone and hung it up, then tossed it back to her. Yuming. Her actions caught Yuming off guard. She didn't react in time. Some people are too noisy, don't you think? I lay back down unbothered. Meanwhile, in the bar's bathroom, you bastard. You dare hang up on me. Li Yuyan roared hysterically, tempted to smash her phone. It took a long while for her to calm her emotions. It's just a fake divorce. And you dare give me attitude. Think you're something now, huh? For the sake of the money. I'll let this jerk slide for now. Just wait until we remarry, I'll deal with you then. She pulled a small mirror from her bag to touch up her makeup, then left the bathroom, returning to the private room to keep drinking. In the room, I lay on the floor bed, staring at the ceiling in the darkness, unable to sleep. So Yuming lay on the soft bed, her bright dewy eyes blinking occasionally in the night, clearly sleepless as well. After a long silence, So Yuming softly spoke. What happened with her? Nothing. We just got divorced. I answered her question calmly. Now, I no longer cared about Li Yuyan at all. So Yuming fell silent for a moment, then asked softly, but isn't it a fake marriage? To me, a divorce is a divorce, so there's no such thing as fake. She and I are done for good. My voice was flat, as if I were talking about something trivial. Hearing this, So Yuming seemed slightly stunned. On the bed, she turned to glance at me on the floor. Her heart suddenly lifted with joy, but then guilt crept in. Joy because I might not remarry Li Yuyan. And maybe, just maybe, she'd have a chance with me. Guilt because she felt she'd unintentionally broken up a marriage Her upbringing taught her that ruining someone's family was wrong. So Yuming let out a soft sigh. I'm sorry. I thought you two had agreed on this. It's not your fault. She's the one who suggested it. I paused, then continued, and I should thank you. If not for you, I wouldn't have resolved to divorce or seen her true colors. Alright, let's sleep. It's late. I felt weary and closed my eyes to rest. So Yuming turned on her side in bed, gazing at my profile in the darkness. Her heart ached for me. At that moment, the sliver of guilt she felt toward Liuyan vanished completely, and with it, she resolved to bring back the confident, sunny smiling boy I used to be. The next morning, I slowly opened my eyes and sensed a lingering gaze. Suyuming was staring at me, lost in thought. She startled, quickly rolling over to lie flat, pretending she wasn't the one who'd been staring. But the flush on her cheeks and the thumping of her heart betrayed her. Alright, time to get up. I pushed back the blanket and got up. I'd noticed Suyuming watching me, but I didn't think much of it. After all, Suyuming had been anti-marriage before, never dated, and barely interacted with men. Now suddenly married, with a man sleeping in the same room. It was natural she'd feel unaccustomed. You get up first. Suyuming, whether from guilt or shyness, or fear I'd notice her blush, buried herself under the covers, her voice muffled, carrying a hint of morning grumpiness. I didn't mind her, and got up to wash up in the bathroom. Hearing the door close, Suyuming slowly poked her head out from the covers. Seeing I was truly gone from the room, she let out a long sigh of relief, then touched her cheeks, burning hot, surely red. So embarrassing. He probably didn't think much of it, right? Suyuming muttered softly, glancing guiltily toward the bathroom. When I came out of the bathroom, Suyuming had calmed down, sitting on the bed playing with her phone. Alright, I'm done. You can go in. I changed into my usual clothes, looking much more refreshed, no longer carrying that weary air. Suyuming put down her phone and headed to the bathroom. Suddenly she turned back, smiling brightly. Good morning. I paused, then smiled back. Good morning. Hearing my response, Suyuming's smile grew even brighter. She turned and happily went to the bathroom. While Suyuming was washing up, I went downstairs alone. In the vast first floor, Uncle Lee, the butler, was in the living room, assigning tasks to several maids. When he saw me come down, he flashed a kind smile and greeted, "Good morning, sir." The maids also bowed respectfully, greeting me. "Good morning, Uncle Lee." I returned a smile. From Suyuming's attitude, it was clear she held great respect for Uncle Lee. So naturally, I couldn't be discourteous. Then I sat alone on the sofa, idly scrolling through my phone. Suddenly I heard footsteps from the stairs. I instinctively glanced toward the staircase and froze at the sight.